salvation so rich and free. You for saving my soul. Thank you, Lord, for making me whole. Thank you, Lord, for giving to me great salvation and free. All right, take your Bibles in chapter 10. Proverbs says that a man plans his ways, but the Lord directs his steps. Sometimes we make plans just to have God redirect those plans. One of the plans that I had mentioned probably 3 months ago was that when I finished up the series on Depart From Me, I was going to start a series on the subject of revival. What is revival? Different examples throughout history. And 3 months later, we still haven't started that series. And I'm not going to start that series. Maybe I'm just not ready to preach it. And it's not time to preach that message. There have been other things that keep coming up and feel the need to address stuff. And I feel like right now I should preach this series, a new series. It will be several weeks on the subject of marriage. Marriage. God's design and purpose. So that's what we're going to do. Take your Bible and just put it on the shelf for a little while. We'll pray that it happens, but as far as teaching through that series, I don't know when I'll get to it. I wanted to preach the series on revival for I don't know how long, but we'll get to it at some point as God leads. But right now, marriage. Marriage, God's design and purpose. Now, Matthew chapter 10, take your Bible and look at verse 34. Jesus is speaking to his disciples and he says, "Think not that I am come to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me." Stop there. You might say, "Joel, that's a strange way to begin a series on the subject of marriage." But it's not. See, we need to be very careful when considering marriage and the marriage relationship and family relationships. They're not the end all. I think we are out of balance, at least in our culture, even within the church culture, that we put so much emphasis upon relationships, marriage relationships, family relationships, parent-child relationships, and we get out of balance. What Jesus is teaching us, his disciples, is this, in this passage. That one of the results of being a disciple of Jesus may be division in your family. That's what he says. A sword, to where a father will hate his son, to where a man's enemies or a man's foes are those of his own house. Following Jesus Christ may bring a division and a fight in your home. It may bring division within a marriage. But we have to decide, what is more important, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my children, or my relationship with God? God is what comes first. We need to be very careful not to make an idol out of family relationships. We need not focus on our family or put family first. Rather, we must focus our eyes upon Jesus and put him first. I was driving some time ago, and the car in front of me, it had those little icons, a man, a woman, and then several children. You've seen that? But this one had a little caption underneath. It said, family first. I thought that's a disaster. That's a disaster waiting to happen. You and I as Christians are not to put our families first. Your marriage is not the most important thing. Your relationship with God is. Your relationship with God is. And so they cannot even be compared in their equality. So that Jesus said you must hate your spouse, your father, your mother, your sister and brother, compared to your relationship with him, based on your love for him. True Christianity is following God no matter the cost, even if it costs me my marriage. Let me just say that up front. That's important. Marriage isn't everything. But since you and I are following Jesus, we are disciples, I hope you are, a disciple of Jesus Christ, and you have put him first, and you are forsaking all others to follow him, what does discipleship look like? We know it from Matthew 28, verses 19 to 20. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. To be a disciple of Jesus Christ is not only to enter into following him, but to live out the Christ life and to be obedient to his commands. And he has many commands as it relates to the family and as it relates to marriage. And so if you are going to put God first, you're going to have to be obedient to those commands that have to do with the family. Now it was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I walked into my father-in-law's shop, and I found this little box. It's kind of a neat-looking box, and I opened it up, and there was something like this on the inside. I thought, what in the world is that? I knew it was a tool, but I didn't know what it was. As I looked closer, I thought, well, I can tell a few things. I can tell it's some kind of a meter. And then I looked closer. I don't know if you can see it on that picture, but up in the corner, and the one that he had, there was this little thing that said moisture meter. Oh, it's a moisture meter. I know what moisture is. Water, right? Know what a meter is? It reads the level. But for what? There were these two little prods, and I thought, what, you just hold it up in the air to see how much moisture is in the air? What do you do with it? How do you work it? What is it, and how is it to be used? Well, my father-in-law wasn't there, so I called him on the phone. I said, I found this thing in your garage. I mean, I know it's a moisture meter, but what is it for? He said, I'm on the roof. I'm on a roof right now. Can I call you back? I said, sure. He never called me back. But I looked at it some more, and I figured out a few things. Just from examining it myself. 2 questions. What is it, first of all? And then what is its purpose? Okay, it's a moisture meter. Esther, you need to go sit over here in front of me. And I want you to move over. In front of Papa. What is it, and what is its purpose? Okay, it's a moisture meter. But for doing what? What I came to find out was that it was a moisture meter for like checking moisture in drywall or in wood to find out how wet something was. But then how to use it. Now, had I gotten a hold of Brian or even got together with him, I'm sure he had somewhat of an idea because it was in his garage, so he must have bought it to accomplish something, and he must have used it, but he maybe had only used it under. If I really wanted to know what it was, what its purpose was, all its functions, and how to work it, who do you think I should talk to? I should contact the company that made it. Or the inventor, the man. If I could get the man that made it and say, hey, what is this? And tell me everything about it and how to use it. He could break it down. Everything, every part of the design, why he did it that way, what I can accomplish with it. And in fact, he might even hand me a manual and say, hey, this manual, this book tells you all about it. Just read it. And if you have any questions, call me and ask me. Wouldn't that be great? And when we're talking about marriage, we're talking about something that God has designed. It's God's invention. It's God's creation. And what is its purpose? The word purpose means the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. Synonyms are this: aim, intention, goal. I like the word aim. I haven't done it in a while, but I was shooting, take my gun, and we set out there this target. And I would aim and I'd try to hit that target with the bow. Purpose. What was God aiming at? What was God trying to hit? What was God trying to accomplish with this thing that he made called marriage? We need to go to him to find out. And we need to go to his manual to find out. Now, I want to bring up the subject of psychology. Psychology is the scientific study of the human mind and its functions, especially those affecting behavior in a given context. Psychology is also the mental characteristics or attitude of a person or group. More or less, psychology is this: the examination of people's habits and actions and thoughts, and then coming up with models, per se. It's just examination. I bring that up because in our society, we're getting something really wrong, and it is marriage. We are making a mess of this thing called marriage. There are marriages falling apart everywhere. There are families falling apart everywhere. It's not just in the world, it's in the church. Some of the statistics are just as high in the church as in the world, falling apart. And most of the time, when someone has marriage problems, they go or are counseled to meet with a psychologist. Meet with a counselor. Or, even better, before you get married, sit down with a psychologist in order to get on the right page. But again, psychology is this really the examination of habits and attitudes. It'd be something like this. What if I needed to put a hammer, or I needed to take a nail and put it through a piece of wood? And I went into Brian's garage and I thought, what can I use? And I saw the moisture meter. Oh, that'll work. And I took it and I hit that nail in. You ever done something like that? Yes. Usually I'll use a drill, a cordless drill. But take that moisture meter and bang that nail in, and I get it in eventually. Did it work? Well, maybe. But the meter's broken by the time it's done. And you say to me, well, Joel, why did you do that? I say, well, I saw Brian do that. I saw him. There was a nail, and he grabbed that same thing, and he hit that nail in. So I just followed his example. It's his tool. I mean, I'm just following him. Would he ever do something like that? I don't know. Maybe a cordless drill, but not a moisture meter. What's my point? I could go to somebody and they say, why did you ruin that thing? I said, well, I'm just doing what Brian said, or what I saw Brian do. People will go to a psychologist because they're having problems in their marriage, and they will get down and say, okay, well, what's going on, and why are you doing that, or why are you thinking that, or why is this problem arising? And usually it comes up, and this is what psychology does, what in your past, who in your past influenced you to think that way? Maybe it was your parents' marriage that was a mess, and now based on what you saw in them, now you're living that out. Or maybe your grandparents or something in the past. And what always seems to happen with psychology is there's just an examination of the mess and then the blame game. Why? The blame game. You know what that is? Find someone else that you can blame for the mess. This goes back to the very beginning of the book of Genesis. You remember when Adam and Eve, God said, don't eat of that tree. Eve ate of it. She gave it to her husband. He ate. And God came to Adam and said, did you eat of that tree in which I commanded you not to eat? What should Adam's response have been? Yes, God, I did. Did he confess his fault? No. He blamed. Who did he blame? He first blamed God. He said, the woman that you gave me. Well, I guess you might say he first blamed the woman. The woman, her fault, but the woman you gave me, God, it's your fault. Blame others. And then God went to the woman and said, did you do that? And she said, yes, I did. No, she didn't say yes, I did. What did she say? The serpent. Blame the serpent. Now, was the serpent wrong? Yes. Guilty. Cursed. Was the woman wrong? Yes, guilty, cursed. Was the man wrong? Yes, guilty, cursed. There was an element of blame which every single one of them shared. And just standing around blaming didn't fix a thing. Psychology only examines and may come to the conclusion of why there's a mess, but offers no cure. It offers no remedy. In fact, usually what it puts forward as a remedy is actually against the Scriptures. You say, Joel, how can you say that? Well, let me just ask you a simple question. With all of the psychology, in fact, I was reading something not that long ago which said that most churches in looking for a pastor now are more concerned as whether they have a degree in therapy than whether they have a Bible study degree. Psychology is more important. But let me ask you, with all of the psychological books sold in the Christian bookstores, all the psychology, marriage helps on the radio and on the TV, all of the psychology, is it working? Are marriages getting better with this new thing of psychology? No. Worse. Worse and worse. Why? Because it is simply a distraction to get us from the man who made it and the manual which should govern it. You see the problem with Adam? What was the problem? He didn't obey the word of God. What was the problem with Eve? She didn't obey the word of God. What is the problem with marriages? Oh, the only problems come when you don't obey the word of God. So we're going to, for the next several weeks, go back to the Bible and say, okay, God, you made it. You designed it. What did you design? What is your purpose? What are we supposed to do? How do we carry these purposes out? I want to say two things, though. Number one, I'm not going to be teaching 50 years of experience in marriage. Why? I don't have 50 years experience in marriage. I'm sure if I had 50 years experience in marriage, I might be able to give you a few helpful tips. I don't have that. I do have some experience. Some of my experience may be helpful. and I may share some of my things that I have learned. But that's not my goal. My goal is for you and I to go to the manual, to go to the one who made it, just say, God, okay, what do you say? Just what do you say? What does the book say? Let's do that. The second thing I want to say at the beginning is that this message and these series of messages is not just for a married person. Don't check out and think, well, I'm not married, this isn't for me, this is for the married people. You know what, in this room, there are more unmarried than there are married. And I hope that this series will help be beneficial to the married couples that are in here. But I'm praying it will be beneficial for all the unmarrieds. Don't go to sleep. Pay attention and learn. I was in high school. There was, I think, maybe 4 or 5 high school boys. We were having a Bible study with a pastor. I think we were going through the book of Colossians. It's either Colossians or Ephesians. And we got to a point in the passage that dealt with the family. He read the instruction to husbands, but we got to the part about wives submitting to their husbands. And he said, well, we're just going to skip that verse because it doesn't apply to us. And he was just going to jump right down. And I respectfully interrupted and I said, well, wait a minute, that does apply to us. I said, you see, the Bible tells us that we as the church are the bride of Christ. So anything that's true for a bride is also true for us as the church, as far as our relationship with God. So I said, anything that instruction to a wife, we should see it as, even though we're guys, as instruction to us as part of the church. Later on, I thought about something else. I thought, boy, he had like 5 or 6 teenage boys. And you know what they needed to hear about? Was what was expected of a woman in marriage. And then what kind of woman to look for when they were going and dating and trying to find a wife. It would have been helpful. I at least say that man, he listened to what I said and he agreed. He said, oh, you're right. And so we didn't skip that verse. But these verses, you may not be married, but they apply to you because you may get married one day. You may not, but you may. And if you do, you will be so helped if prior to marriage you know God's design, God's purpose, and God's instruction. It will help you. But even if you never get married, if you're a part of the church, you're going to understand what Jesus, the church, and this whole thing is about, because marriage is an earthly illustration of Christ and his church. So this series is for everybody, not just the married. Colossians chapter 1, verse 16 says this, for by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. This is Jesus. We can include marriage here. All things were created. Marriage was created by him, and the Bible says here that marriage was created for him. It's for God. Revelation chapter 4, verse 11 says, thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. This is the starting point. God created marriage. What was its purpose? Number 1, his pleasure. God's pleasure. It was something that God wanted to take delight in. Now turn to Mark chapter 10. We'll be here the remainder of this evening. We'll be jumping around some. Mark chapter 10, beginning in verse 6. Jesus was answering a question that was brought to him by the Pharisees about marriage. And in answering that, he says this, but from the beginning of the creation, God made them male and female. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. So then they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. This is Jesus' teaching on marriage. I like the statement, Jesus said it, that settles it. Jesus said it, that settles it. Number one, what do we see? Marriage was created by God. But from the beginning of creation, God made them. Marriage is God's creation. It's not man's. You see, a bunch of men didn't get together and say, you know what? One of the guys said, you know what, I was thinking, I had this great idea. What if we made this woman, and then the two of us came together and we became one? How does that sound? Should we make a committee? Should we come up with, no, it's not. It wasn't man's idea. This was God's creation. God looked and said, it's not good for man to be alone, I'll make him a helper. And so God made the female and the male and brought them together. This is God's design. What is it? Well, number two, we see there from verse 6 and 7 that marriage is the union of the male. The means to bring two things together as one. Union is one. Or it could be more than two things. It could be many things that are brought together as one. But in this context, two becoming one. It's the union of a male and a female. What is that? A boy and a girl. Now this is very important. I heard the other day, I think that in our culture, some are putting forward that there are 87 plus genders. There are not 87 genders. There are two genders. There is male and there is female. There are boys and girls, men and women. Either a boy or a girl. And this marriage is when one man and one woman, one boy, one girl come together, two separate people, but they come together and they become one in marriage. Male and female. Push, not just lately in our culture, it's something as old as Sodom and Gomorrah. Those who want to reject God's design as male and female, and they say, no, we'll do it male and male. We'll do female and female. We'll have two boys come together as one. We'll have two girls come together as one, and we'll call that marriage. They say it's same-sex marriage. This is not marriage. It's not marriage. This is called what? Sin. Romans chapter 1, verse 26 says, for this cause God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their women did leave or did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the women, burned in their lusts one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet. The New Testament tells us, the Holy Spirit tells us that a woman with a woman is a vile affection, and that it is unnatural. That a man with a man is vile affection and unnatural. Homosexuality is not marriage. Just as I might hold up a hammer and tell you this is a moisture meter. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. It's a hammer. This is a moisture meter. Those who try to put up homosexuality as it is a legitimate marriage, and listen, I think Christians ought to be very careful of a trap. I hear them say it all the time. They've bought into the lie of saying this alternative lifestyle. As if it is optional. Well, you pick the blue shirt, I pick the red shirt. There are some options in life, there are some alternatives. You can go to Taco Bell, I'll go to Burger King. But it's not just an alternative lifestyle. It is sin.
That's right.
Homosexuality isn't marriage. So anyone that tries to tell you that homosexuality is marriage, it's not. Marriage is a man and a woman. No matter what the Supreme Court or any other court may say, the court of heaven says differently. Number 3, the third thing that we see from Jesus' teaching is that marriage is when one man and one woman are united as one flesh. He says, "For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and be joined to a twain, become one flesh." Some people think that one man with 4 women. Now, do we even see that in the Bible? Certainly. We see it like with one of the great patriarchs, Jacob, where Jacob had 4 wives: Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah. And from those 4 wives came the 12 tribes of Israel. Yes, but Jacob was wrong, and that is sin. Polygamy, bringing more than 2 people together, is sin. People can say what they want. Well, the Old Testament, look at Solomon. Yes, Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. That's 1,000. But Solomon was wrong. And those wives became a snare to him. Jacob's family was filled with fighting. The jealousy and the fighting and even the treatment of Joseph and everything is all a mess came from that. And you go through the Bible, find every place that there is polygamy. In almost every instance, you will find turmoil in that marriage, in that family. It's not God's way. And Jesus settled it once and for all. No, one man and one woman. But then we see that they are united as one flesh. They come together. I love the word there, cleave. Verse 7, it says, "For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife." You know what the word cleave is in the Greek? To glue upon, to glue to join oneself too closely, cleave to, stick to. Best translation is just this: glued together. Glued together. The man leaves his father and mother, he joins himself to his wife, and they're stuck now. They're stuck. Together as one. Number 4, in verse 9, we see that marriage is first of all the creation of God. Number 2, marriage is between a male and a female. Number 3, marriage is one male, one female, together as one. And number 4, marriage is a lifelong covenant. For Jesus says in verse 9, "What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder." Marriage is a lifelong covenant. It's till death do us part. Romans chapter 7, verse 2 says this: "For the woman which hath a husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband." Marriage is until death parts. It's a lifelong covenant. But I very carefully said it's a lifelong covenant. It is not an eternal covenant. There are some covenants which are eternal, like the covenant that Jesus made with his blood. That covenant of blood that happened with the cross, sanctifying and cleansing and redeeming his people, will be forever, and we will be singing it, right? Worthy is the Lamb who's redeemed us. It will be declared for all of eternity. But marriage covenants are not for eternity. They are simply for life. Jesus said this in Matthew 22, verse 30. He says, "For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven." some mistakenly take that verse and say, see, when we go to heaven, we become angels. No, he's not saying we become angels. What he's saying is that there isn't any marriage between men and women in heaven. There's no marriage. The only marriage in heaven is the marriage of Christ's bride and Christ. That's it. Marriage covenants are just for this life. People will, maybe a genuine way, a cute way, weddings, have it always and forever. No, it's not always and forever. And there will be ramifications that may be always and forever. See, when you're married and you have a child, and that is a human being that came as a result of that union, and that person is eternal. So there are eternal aspects or results from marriage, but marriage itself is not eternal. There's only a season, there's only a time in which you can use that marriage to bring God pleasure. Once it's over, it's over. It shows us how superior our covenant relationship with God is over our covenant relationship with other men. And Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4 says this, marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. The Holy Spirit tells us that in the last days there are going to be a couple of things. He says one of the things is that men are going to be covenant breakers. So it's no surprise as we get closer to Jesus' return that covenants mean nothing. People break them all the time. And in marriage, people break. The other thing that we're taught by the Holy Spirit is that a doctrine of demons is this: teaching the forbidding of meats and of marriage. We can know a doctrine of the devil when there is a forbidding of eating meats, which God has given for us for food, and when there is a teaching against marriage. As this world becomes more under the power of the wicked one, we can be sure that that doctrine will grow. Even in our society, in some ways, marriage is looked upon with disdain. People encourage others to just live together. I remember I was talking to some boys who were very immoral, fornicators. I told them it was sin, but they needed to get married. I said, we'd never do that. I said, why? My mom would kill me. Your mom would kill you? Yeah, if I ever got married. I said, but does she know that you're sleeping with your girlfriend? Yeah, she's fine with that. But I can't get married. Totally backwards. The mother was teaching the children that marriage was somehow dishonorable and that marriage dead defiled. But it's not the case. Marriage is an honorable thing. If you have a desire to be married, you're desiring something that is good. And in fact, there's only a few people, there's a small number which marriage is not for them. The majority, marriage is for them. Some use some of the teachings in 1 Corinthians or the teachings of the Apostle Paul to say that if you're really holy, then you don't ever marry. Yet we see that the bishops and the deacons are married people. If you want to see what mess comes from that kind of demonic teaching, look at the Catholic Church and all the sexual immorality that goes on. Marriage is honorable in all. It's not some second best thing. It was God that said a man being alone is not a good thing. Though there are some cases in which for the kingdom of God, someone may remain single. I'm not saying that, but that is the exception, not the rule. Marriage is honorable. The marriage bed is completely pure and undefiled. But the contrast, fornicators, so those who sleep around prior to marriage, adulterers, those who sleep around in marriage, they will be judged. Ephesians 5:5, for this you know that no whoremonger nor unclean person, the covetous man who is an idolater, have any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and of God. And then Colossians 3:5, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. Put fornication to death. One of the ways, the Bible tells us how a man or a woman is to avoid fornication is to get married. Get married. That's how you avoid fornication. Just get married. Find a woman. Find a husband. If you're young and you're waiting, just wait. Remain pure. Wait until that day God brings that man or that woman, and then you can marry him. Fulfill God's design. Begin to fulfill God's purposes. Now I end by asking this question: whose way have you chosen? We're going to ask this as we go through this series time and time again. Whose ways have you chosen? God's? Everything I've shared to you tonight from this passage is just what God says. Marriage is His design. Marriage is a man and a woman. Marriage is one man, one woman, coming together as one flesh. And when they come together in the marriage covenant, it is to be for life, till death do us part. That's God's word. That's what God says. Do you embrace that and say yes? Or do you say no? Or do you do what most people do who don't want to receive the truth? They'll say yes, but no yes, buts. It's either yes or no. Marriage is God's design. What is it? That's what we've looked at tonight. And for the next 8 weeks or so, we'll see purpose and functions. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for your word, that it is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. I thank you that your word is able to make us wise unto salvation. And also that your word is there to sanctify us and fully equip us every good work. That our understanding of marriage in this day, and our obedience to your commands, will bring a blessing to you. And as we live your delight, it will be a blessing to us. Help us never to put marriage relationships, and the family relationships as more important than you. But as we put you first, we would be obedient to everything that you say in regards to you. Save us in Jesus' name. Bless the rest of our time together. Thank you for the meal. It's been prepared. Blessed to our bodies. Bless our fellowship together. Have your way. The rest of this evening, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Stand together. Fill me now, Jesus, come. and fill me now. Fill me with thine power, presence, come, oh come and fill me now. Me now, fill me now. Jesus, come and fill me now. Fill me with thine power, presence, come, oh come and fill me now.